Now, the reason why I am propagating that we all should cut down the intake of our carbohydrates and starchy foods is what I want us to discuss in this video. If you remember, somewhere last week, I did a video where I indicated that there is only one disease in this world. And this information didn't sit well with most of you. So you people started asking me questions. So I decided to come and buttress my point with this important details or fact. You know, there is a membrane in our system called mucous membrane. This mucous membrane is responsible for regulating the amount of mucus which are supposed to be in our system. Of course, the body needs, a little bit of mucus in order to function. But what the body that doesn't need is too much of it. That is why God, in his wisdom, created the mucous membrane to see to it that the mucus don't go beyond the limit. So in a situation where we keep on eating more carbohydrate, foods that are high in carbohydrate, like yam, rice, potatoes, sugar, and other grains, what will happen is that the mucous membrane will break down. And when the mucous membrane breaks down, there's going to be a flood of mucus throughout the body. And when there is flood of mucus throughout the body, it is the cells in our body which are going to suffer much, because every human being have about 7 trillion cells in him or her, and these cells comes together to form you, to make you healthy. So when the mucous membrane breaks down, the excess mucus in the body will no longer be regulated, and therefore these mucus are going to find themselves around the cells. So the cells in your body are going to be shrouded, are going to be covered by the mucus. So when that thing happens, your cells will no longer have good oxygen, because the mucus will be preventing the cells from getting oxygen. The mucus will prevent the cells from getting other nutrients. So these cells, some will die and go off your system, and some will transform themselves into bacteria, into other microbes, and they will eventually begin to attack the body's organ. So in saying this, I am here to tell you that there is no bacteria, there is no fungi, there is no virus that are found outside into the body. No. All the bacteria, all the fungi, everything are found within ourselves, because these cells we talk about are also living organisms. So in an event where these cells are compromised, some will die, some will erode, some too will metamorphose, will transform themselves and begin to attack the body's system, the organs. So that comes out, or that bring about the diseases and then the other pathogens. So sometimes we call them free radicals. You understand? Yes, free radicals, because they become radical. That the very good cells which are supposed to help you, which are supposed to maintain your body, they will eventually become radicals. Why? Because they are not getting food, they are not getting oxygen, they are not getting nothing. So they will become agitated and start hunting the body. Let me give you a typical example. When you go to farm and pick out, let's say, a tomatoes, or you pick out a garden eggs, you see the garden eggs very fresh. And let me tell you this thing before I continue. Every living organism, or every living creature, whether plant, whether tree, whether human being, whether animals, we are all created with trillions of cells. We are all cells. So this fruit, these tomatoes, these garden eggs are all made up of cells. Now, you've plucked out this tomato, you've plucked out this garden eggs, and you brought it home. Then you got a very nice container with a lid. Then you just drop one or two of the garden eggs inside this container. Fresh garden eggs or fresh container or fresh tomatoes. You just drop it inside your container. Then you close the container very tight. After closing the container very tight, then you went and put it in a very nice place, hygienic place, for 3 days, for 4 days, for 5 days, for 7 days. After 7 days, go back to that same container, that same garden eggs or tomato, and then see what is happening. You will eventually go and realize that that fresh container, that fresh garden eggs, that fresh tomatoes you just put inside the container and tighten the lid has begun to produce maggot. That maggot, you know maggot, yes. You realize, you see some maggot coming out from the what? From the garden eggs. Maggot coming out from the tomatoes. So you ask yourself, where did those maggots came from? And how did they manage to get inside the tomatoes? Ask yourself. Those maggots are transformed as are the same cells which were made up of the garden eggs. They transform themselves into maggot, and they are now eating the very thing that made them, because they have turned themselves from normal cells to different organisms, different species, and they are now feeding on the same garden eggs. Do you know why it happens like that? Because you have deprived the tomatoes, you have deprived the garden eggs of what? Of oxygen. So oxygen is very, very important. So one of the things that prevent our system to get, our cells to get enough oxygen is mucus. It's mucus. So when there is too much mucus in your lungs, the cells in your lungs will be deprived of oxygen. So these cells will what? Some of them will die out. Some of them too will transform themselves into a bacteria, which would now, be named as what? As asthma. And they will begin to what? To feed on the lungs. So 1, 2, you'll be having asthmatic attack. And anytime they feel that you want to kill them or you want to pie them, they what? They will just vomit a protective layer, which is also in the form of mucus, to prevent, and it will block your what? Your breathing way, and you begin to have the asthmatic attack. If this mucus is developing in your liver, and as a result, it is preventing the cells in your liver from getting oxygen and other nutrients. These cells from getting nutrients, these cells, some will die and some will transform themselves into what? Into what we call hepatitis B and other viral infections. So all these infections, all these things are within us, but they are triggered. They are provoked when we eat a lot of mucus in our system. That is why here in Africa, we are all sick, because the food we eat are all full of carbohydrates. And the byproduct of every carbohydrate is mucus. Very, very important. As simple as that. Very, very simple. Unless you don't want the truth. Unless you want to protect your trade. But this is the only truth, and you can only get it here on this channel. So our body doesn't need too much, carbohydrate. Our body doesn't need too much starch. Our body needs a lot of fat. Our body needs a lot of protein, animal product, in order to function very well. So if I were you, I'll begin to be taking less carbohydrate and much fat, much protein, because the body resonates very well with animal product. That is how many years ago our forefathers were hunters. They were hunters. They were eating meat, a lot of meat, and they were healthy because there was no such thing like rice. There was no such thing like, other carbohydrates. And they were eating other carbohydrate foods, all right, but those carbohydrate foods were wild carbohydrates, were wild. And because they were wild, it was not containing a lot of starch, a lot of carbohydrate. They were eating wild yam. Wild yam, when we say something is wild, something which no human being, planted it. It is found in the bush. It is found in the forest. It is planted by nature himself. No one planted it. We have them. We have wild rice. It is called black rice. We have guinea corn, wild corn, wild corn or wild maize. It is found in the bush. No one plants it. Nature plants itself, plant it itself. But agricultural industrialization, set in. The moment agricultural industrialization, set in, that is where our problems began. So through technology, they started to genetically modified some of these wild food like yam, like guinea corn into normal corn. Now we are using, now they have even extended their technology by producing yellow corn and so on and so forth. So our forefathers many years ago were eating other food apart from or aside animal food, aside animal protein, but those foods were wild. But our current generation, or in our current generation, the kind of food we are eating have all passed through what we call agricultural industrialization. They have all passed through what we called genetically modified process. And eventually, these foods will produce nothing but starch. And the byproduct of every starch is glucose and mucus. That's all. So this is the main reason why I said we should stop or cut the intake. So my advice is that anytime you want to eat about 20% of carbohydrate and about 80% of meat or animal protein, and then maybe vegetables. Balance them, because your body needs more protein than it needs carbohydrate. Yes, many years ago, about, if I'm not mistaken, about 15 years ago, I was having the notion that meat is not good for human consumption, not knowing that we were all reading this from books. And through that, I personally became a vegetarian for 3 good years. Those who know me will attest to this. I was speaking vehemently against meat intake because I thought that was the best. Because when you read the books are going to convince you. They are going to tell you all the goodies you want to hear. But in reality, that is not the case. Your body needs more, meat, more fat. And when I say fat, I mean good fat. Good fat, tropical fat. Fat from what? From palm oil, from palm kernel, from palm oil, coconut oil, granite oil, palm kernel oil, shea butter. Those are tropical oils. Those are fat you need, not seed oil. There is no life in seed oil. Seed oils are fit for machines because they are laboratory modified. They are laboratory produced, generated. But if you want a very good fat which resonates with works well, sit well with your body, you need tropical fat, you need palm oil, that red oil, you need palm kernel oil. Okay, so your body needs fat, especially the brain, and you can get fat in these plants: palm kernel, palm kernel, groundnut oil, okay, coconut oil, shea butter, and so on and so forth. And you can also get some of these fat in animal protein. We were made to understand that fat from animals are bad. Yes, I was a victim. And those who have been following me in those days will attest to that. I was speaking vehemently against the intake of meat and fatty meat, not knowing that those are the very things our body needs. But truth is like a light. When the light comes out, whether you like it or not, you cannot suppress it. That is why I have made a U-turn, and I'm now asking you to rather stop the intake of the carbohydrate, and then you start eating the fat. You need raw milk. Yes, I used to speak against milk, not knowing that it was a pasteurized milk which is bad. I still stand where I am. Milk which has been boiled, which has been pasteurized. When we say pasteurized milk, it means milk which has been put on fire to cook. And milk which are processed with other additives, they are all bad for the body. They are not good for the body. If you want a very good milk, animal milk, whether cow milk, goat milk, camel milk, whatever milk, if you need a very good milk, you should not boil it. You should drink the milk very raw, in its raw form, because it contains certain enzymes. I'll one day come and teach you about it. So you need all these things in order to function very well, not the otherwise. Let me leave you with this typical example. If you think what I'm saying is not true, just do what I've just told you and you will see. If you are in Ghana here, I'll talk about Ghana. I will use Ghana as an example. In Ghana, we have several food. We have rice, we have banku, which made from maize. We have fufu, made from either cassava and yam or plantain together. We have other, local food, so-called local food. We have them here. If you like, let's say take banku. Take banku. Go and, sit on about 2 balls of banku or 1 ball of banku. And then you get maybe 1 full of fish. 1 full fish. Eat the banku, eat the fish. Right after eating the banku and the fish, maybe after 1 hour later, you can sip little water, you can drink little water. After that, just insert your 2 fingers down your throat. Definitely you are going to vomit. When you vomit, check whether the meat, the fish you ate, whether the fish will come or not. You realize that it is only the banku. It is only the banku which is going to come out. The fish will not come out. You can try it everywhere. Go and test it. If it is fufu with meat, eat a lot of fufu, eat a lot of meat at the same time. After that, 1 hour later, drink some little water, insert your fingers down your throat and vomit. You realize that it is the fufu which is going to drop down, not the meat. The meat will never come down. It is the fufu which is going to come down. Do you know why? The moment you ate the meat, the body has already processed the meat, because you will chew it. After chewing it, you swallow it. When you swallow it, immediately the hydrochloric acid in the digestive juice will crush the meat and process it immediately. So you see that everything is going to be okay. This might sound a bit controversial, but that is the truth. This is Secrets of Health TV. We always give you nothing but the truth. Wherever the truth is, whether it is going against us, we will say it. Whether it is not going against us, we will say it. Thank you very much for always watching. If you have any suggestion or any doubt, just let me know in the comment area. I will get an answer for you. And please don't forget to check the 3 videos you see on your screen. Click on any of them and continue to watch our previous videos. I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day.